Steve Jewin, MMA Mania.
All right, go ahead, Steve.
All right, Ed Ruth, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent, and thank you for taking the time today. I'm really looking forward to your fight here at Bellator 196 in Budapest, but I want to start out by congratulating you on a great win in Happy Valley. You went home and impressed the Nittany Lion faithful with that big knockout against Chris Dempsey. How satisfying was that win?
It was actually very satisfying. To be able to go home and to show people that I can put people away on their feet using my boxing alone. That was a huge win for me.
People knew you as a wrestler, but you came in and showed them your evolution from wrestling to mixed martial arts. And how would you say that transition has been for you? You're undefeated in Bellator so far, but that doesn't tell the whole story.
It's only the tip of the iceberg, and people will see that as time goes on. But yeah, definitely going forward, and I like to tell people this straight up. My evolution is going to be something that people have never seen before. I just want to bring a whole new dimension to fighting that people have never saw. And I think that me personally, I definitely know that I can do that. It's definitely within my skill set. And I'm also always pushing myself to the next level. I'm never satisfied where I'm at. It's always a big deal for me to actually prove that not only am I good at this, but I can always get better because I'm always learning because I'm a student of the sport.
I feel like that's one of the things I've been seeing in your fights since you debuted at Bellator 163. It seems like you're continually getting better and they're continually giving you better opponents. And Chris Dempsey was the most experienced one you'd faced to date. So do you have any nerves about that, knowing that he'd had a track record and been around for quite a while?
If anything, it made me want to fight him more. Every time people tell me that somebody had more fights, I'm like, okay, that's the guy I should be fighting. If it's somebody who has only 4 or 5 fights, is this really pushing me to the next level? Because I want people to see that this is an ongoing thing. This is not just something that, this guy fought him when he was this guy's 8 fights deep, so I should fight him because he's 8 fights deep, or whatever. I want people to see that, not only am I stepping up to the plate with guys who's now just starting out their debut, but I also step up to the plate against veterans, against people who are doing it right now. Because I feel like this sport's a competitive sport, and I always want to be competitive.
You've got another experienced fighter coming up here in Budapest. You've got Laszlo Furko, who's got 9 fights on his record, 6-3 overall, coming in on a 2-fight win streak, and he knocked somebody out just a month ago. That's what I know about him. What do you know about him?
I know he dropped the fight.
Did we get a change of opponent then?
Yeah, he dropped, and then I'm not too sure who my newest opponent is. I've seen a couple guys come down through the pipeline, but I'm kind of just holding my breath right now.
Okay, well, you totally caught me off guard there, Ed, so I apologize for that. I didn't get an update about you beforehand. Anyway,
hey, trust me, when it comes to updates, I'm on the same page as you right now. I'm like, oh, new one?
Well, it's all good then. You'll find out soon enough. But let me ask a related question then, because even when your opponent was still Laszlo Furko, it seemed to come out of nowhere because they'd been building up this Budapest card for a while, and then all of a sudden, on my timeline, I see Bellator 196 Ed Ruth highlight package. I'm like, well, okay, I guess Ed Ruth has a fight on the card now. So when did you get that call, and what did they say?
I kind of found out about it at the same time as everybody else did. They saw that I was still in the room. I'm still plugging away and still working out. And I guess they were just like, hey, do you want to be on this card? And I never say no.
It's also an international trip. Flying over to Budapest is a whole different deal.
Yeah, and I always like going overseas because going overseas is just a whole new level of adversity. And I had to do a lot of that for wrestling. And, every time I went over there, something different happened. You can either lose your clothes or you don't have the wrestling shoes or the mats aren't up to par or the electricity's out in the building next door or the building that you're supposed to be in. And, all that adversity kind of builds a wrestler or builds an athlete into what you really are. And I like it when I get to go overseas as well because, there's so many different factors that you have to weigh in when you're going over there competing. And, when you're home, you get used to being comfortable. You get used to getting your full night of sleep or, and I feel like when people get spoiled like that and then they go overseas and they lose, it's like, they're just not used to like that lack of sleep or that change in time, that change in time difference, or even the food over there is different. You're not going to get all the same food that you can get here in the U.S. overseas. And, I like going overseas because it gives me that experience. I get to actually see this now and be around other people, be around people who don't know who I am and don't like me. That just makes me a better fighter. When I fight on my own soil, it's like, okay, I know these people know me. It doesn't matter if they like me or don't like me, they're still a fan somehow, some way.
That's true, but you can make fans out of people who don't know you. I'm sure you did that in Florence, Italy when you went over there, and you got this chance in Budapest too. But you've talked about being uncomfortable and getting out of your comfort zone. What are you doing in the training camp that's getting you out of that comfort zone?
I do a whole bunch of random things. Like I always tell people, like I never keep a schedule. For me, keeping a schedule is the first thing. Like when adversity comes and stomps that schedule out, you're up shit's creek, And so I always like to do something different. Wake up 6:30 every day during a certain week, and then work out every day in the morning, or maybe work out at night. Because when you fight over in Las Vegas, you don't fight until 10, 9 o'clock, or maybe even later than that. My last couple of fights when I was fighting in Connecticut, I don't think I stepped into the ring until about close to 11, maybe 10 that night, and then we have our interviews at 12. So it's just like everything's always constantly changing. I always wanted to make sure that whether I fight in the morning, the wee hours of the mornings, or even 3 o'clock in the morning, I wanted to be ready and prepared for it.
So you've just got a randomizer then on your computer or your whatever, your personal assistant that says, okay, you did this in the morning, now do this at night, now do this in the middle of the day. You never have the same schedule. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's huge, because when you switch it up like that, then by switching up my schedule, it makes it so even in the future when I work out, it's like, okay, so I don't have to do all of this right away. I can do this later, do this here, do this and at that time, And I've noticed that like Mayweather gets up 3 o'clock at night or 12 o'clock at night and goes running 7 miles, and because every time he fights, and he's fighting Pacquiao or all those guys, he's fighting at midnight at night.
Fighting way late in the evening. It's probably earlier Vegas time, but our time it ends up being midnight or 1 o'clock, like you said. So since we're talking about a variety of sports, I also want to go back to something that's been on my mind about you a little bit since we talked about Penn State already, and right now college sports is on everybody's minds. And when you came into Bellator, they anointed you as one of the Fab Five. Now, normally I think basketball when I think Fab Five, but in this case they mean fabulous 5 wrestlers who are all standouts in college, and you were a 3-time national champion. So did that put extra pressure on you that you had all this hype coming into Bellator?
No, it actually makes me happy to have that hype, because if you don't have it, then nobody knows who you are. The whole point of this sport is to have everybody know who you are. And I felt like by me coming in with that whole hype from the Fab Five, I thought it was a great thing. It kind of got me started. And it's just it gives you something to feed into. If you don't have something you don't believe in, then you don't have anything to believe in. And at that point in time, when they said, hey, Fab Five's coming in, I'm like, wow, I'm a part of that. And it feels good to be a part of something.
And how do you feel about how the other Fab Five are progressing?
One of us took a loss, but it's all part of the process. And to be 100% honest with it, it's impossible to just think that you're just going to go without losses ever. And I think it's one thing that most fighters should. I think all fighters should think about their first loss. I think they all should consider it and consider what they're going to do after it. Because I see a lot of fighters that get their momentum train going, and then they take that first loss, and then they're lost amongst the rest of the sea of fighters. And everybody's like, oh, what happened to this person, And for me, it's just I want to win. But, if there's a loss in there, I'll take it. I'll keep my head held high, and I'll push past that, and I'll show everybody that I'm not just here just to win, and the win is the only thing that makes me. Because what makes me is my training, my mindset. I don't want a loss to ever define that.
A lot of different fighters have different psychology about it. I like your approach, but I've also had fighters say to me that when you think about losing, you're already preparing yourself to lose. Do you think there's any credence to that?
Not at all, because I always feel like I'm gonna win, but when I think about losing, it prepares me and it makes me more mature. I think when people don't think about losing and then they do lose, and then they're just like, man, I don't know what happened. But for me, it's like even when I lose, it's a growing experience. If I lost, I will go back and watch the fight and say, oh, this is what happened here. That's what happened there. That's what happened during my fight training camp, and I didn't show that out there. And that's why I was tired. That's why I got caught. That's why this happened. You know, as long as people have a reason why they lost, then it doesn't really count as a loss. It's just another way for you to get better. But I think that when people don't want to think about the fact that they're losing, or the fact that they could lose in the future, I just think that's unrealistic. Because then you think that you're everything that you're doing is just perfect, and it's perfect until somebody proves that it's not perfect.
Right, and then you get what happened with Ronda Rousey, where she was steamrolling everybody and she thought she was perfect, and the first time she took a loss, it completely threw her off her game, and she wasn't able to bounce back from that.
Exactly, and like a true champion should be able to bounce back. Nothing against Ronda. I love watching her career, but a true champion always bounces back. A loss is a loss. We all take that 50-50 chance every time we step in the ring or the match or whatever, and we take that chance. And everybody prepares for a win, but nobody prepares for a loss. And I think that's where a lot of people slip up.
All right, well, I agree with the philosophy. I like where you're coming from with that, but I know this is a very awkward time for you with not knowing what your opponent's going to be for Bellator. So what do you have to say about whoever you're going to face coming up here in Budapest?
Oh, I would like him to know that I'm watching him. Yeah, let him know that he should be ready for me, because I don't have to get ready for him.
You'll be coming in trained and ready. In fact, I'm sure you're probably going to leave early so you can get adjusted to the time zone. What time are you taking off?
I'm actually taking off the first, and that time zone thing is so weird because it's either you have to leave a month before or you just got to leave early enough that it doesn't affect you. So I think or you just got to leave late enough that it doesn't affect you. You can just go right into the fight. And I guess that's what we're trying to take here. Because when I went out to Italy, it was like a week before the fight, and I didn't feel tired or anything going into the ring. I felt good.
All right. Well, that sounds like a good strategy. And one last question as we start wrapping up here. Who's going to corner you for this one?
I have Bob Cook and I have Marco Sevilla.
All right. Any plugs you want to throw out there before we go? Sponsors and social media, anything like that?
Of course. My social media is at EdRuth67 on Instagram, and on Twitter is eRuth67, and the same goes for Facebook. It's eRuth67. Also, I would like to give a shout out to my sponsors at Lactico, American Ethanol, Ammo. Also, I would like to give a shout out to Black MP Living Water, and Oak Grove.
All right, Ed. Thank you for the time today. I hope all this.
For that one.
Oh, sorry, you broke up there at the end.
No problem.
I didn't mean to cut into you. I thought I'd lost the call there. So, Ed, thank you again for the time, and have a great fight at Bellator in Budapest.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Thank you, and thanks, Stan, as well.